What is going on, my peoples? It is the cool Be More trucker coming at you. And first of all, excuse the noise. I am in a hotel washing clothes, and I'll explain that why I'm in a hotel washing clothes as it relates to truck driving in a little bit. But first, I wanted to talk about. I haven't made a video in probably about a week and a half or so. So I wanted to double back and make sure that I talk to you about. Again, we're talking about the Swift Driving Academy in Richmond. And I wanted to talk to you about the second and leading up to about your third or fourth week out on the range in the training. So we already talked about your first week, which is typically admin stuff, doing the classroom, trip planning, reading the Ram McNally maps, that kind of stuff. Doing physicals if you need your permit, if you already have your permit, that kind of stuff we're already covered. And then I talked about your first week out on the range. So again, to recap, your first week on the range, if he's still there, you would be with Instructor Cowboy. Very cool dude. He will teach you straight line back, and then he will teach you offset. That's in what's called the Maryland lane. Okay, then your second week, you'll go to the Pennsylvania lane, and the third week, you'll go to the Virginia lane. And it's named that way because that is the states, those specific states DMV testing lanes. It's set up specifically for those. However, again, like I said in the past video, you will test at the DMV, the CDL DMV in Virginia. So your second and third week, maybe fourth week, fifth week, depending if you're there that long, you will continue to do your straight line backing. You will do offset, and then the second week, the second lane, which is the Pennsylvania lane, you'll learn the parallel park. And then when you get to the Virginia lane, then you will master. That is where you continue to practice and master your three different parking skills. Again, the straight line back, the offset right and left, and then the parallel park right and left. So the first week, again, it's pretty simple. You're kind of crawling, and when you're in the second week out on the range, you're walking a little bit. An instructor will come out and show you the parallel park, and then out on the third lane, you'll be running pretty much. So that's the lane where you're just out there practicing and you're taking turns, just like you do in the other lanes, but with students. And instructors don't really bother you too much unless they see that you need some assistance. And in between those second and third lanes, the instructors will come and grab you and actually either take you out at the industrial park, which is probably about 3 or 4 miles away from the range, or they'll take you out on the road between the little city of Sandston and the highway there. So they'll take you out on the road depending on how well you're doing. They'll check on, when you're out on the road, they'll check to make sure that your turning maneuvers are good. They'll make sure that you're staying in between, you're staying in your lane. Your turns are wide enough to clear the lane that you're turning into and out of. And obviously to make sure that you're being safe and that you're not hitting anything. But my biggest recommendation is when you're out here at the range and you're on the road, make sure you pay attention to your mirrors and those rear tandems, the rear of your trailer. All right. Once you've cleared any turn or backing maneuver with your tractor, let's talk about the turns. So once you cleared any turns with your tractor, now you got to switch your concern to the trailer, which that should really, in all honesty, be your first concern is the trailer. The tractor, you know you're going to clear that because you're in it. It's the trailer that becomes your concern. So watch your mirrors. If you have fender mirrors, watch those. Of course, you're going to have your West Coast mirrors, so watch those, and just take it slow, and you'll be fine. So your second, third, and fourth weeks are pretty much all the same. You're just practicing out there on the range. If you want to get an idea of what the Swift Driving Academy looks like, go into Google Maps and just type in Swift Driving Academy Richmond facility, and it'll pop up, and you'll see there's like a little trailer there that you can see the the schoolhouse, and then there's a couple lanes in front of that look like it could be the training lanes, which it actually isn't. They just park trucks there, and then when you look further behind the schoolhouse, you'll see a whole bunch of trailers just parked. Look, I believe I want to say it's to the, see, if you're looking at Google Maps, it's probably to the southeast as you're looking at the map, and then you'll see the range. I'm sorry, southwest, and you'll see the range, and you kind of get an idea of the layout of the land there. But outside of that, again, all your weeks after that is the same. The only difference is there's a fourth lane out there which they just use for testing, for those who are from Virginia. So, but everybody will test at the CDL DMV in Virginia, no matter what state you're from. And then once you pass your DMV test, they have these little tablets. So once you're doing your tests, they'll put your information in, and then once you pass your test with the DMV, they send your information back to your respective state. You go home, you go pick up your license essentially, or they may have already sent it to you. I know when I got home, I went to the DMV to pick up my license. And at first it wasn't there. I went back a couple days later and they said, "Oh, we already mailed it to you." So I had to wait a few days, and bam, sure enough, it came in the mail. And then I decided to do my hazmat and tanker endorsement test and investigation background check, and then they sent me a new one automatically in the mail. So it's really not that hard, the school. So that's all I can say. Your second, third, fourth weeks are relatively the same. And then once you go out and test at the DMV, woo-saw. Take a deep breath before each task, and, just take your time and get it done. As far as I understand, there's not really a time limit except for on the pre-trip, which you have an hour to do the pre-trip, or 45 minutes to an hour to do a pre-trip. So I would talk to instructors. I think they said it was 45 minutes for us. So knocked all of that out, and then you do your 3 backing maneuvers, and then you get out on the road in the highway, and you're good to go. I will say this, and I don't want to sound negative, but let's just say, for instance, you pass your pre-trip, you pass your backing, and you don't do so well on the driving part. What happens is they bank your pre-trip, so you don't have to do the pre-trip again the next time you go back. But you will have to do your backing maneuvers and your driving again. So that's the only thing. And then for us out-of-staters, you will have to pay an additional $85. So it really is in your best interest to pay the $85 one time and be done with it. I know sometimes some people get anxiety, test anxiety, and things that they did at the test that they normally wouldn't do causes them to fail. So just take your time. I will say this on the driving part. There is a portion in your Swift driving guide that, at least in mine, that talked about driver commentary. I did not give my instructor a chance to say anything because I called out everything. As in, hey, I'm approaching an intersection, I'm looking left and right, if that intersection has a left and right intersection. There's no cars, I'm clear. Or if I'm coming through a light, or if I'm at a stoplight before I pull off, I say, hey, I'm checking my intersection to make sure there's no vehicles still coming through, then I pull off. I talk to them about when I'm on the highway, what the speed limit is. If there's a speed limit for trucks as opposed to cars. If there's a clearance as you're coming from an overpass, it might be say, okay, it might say upcoming overpass is the clearance is 14.4. So basically I'm calling out everything and not allowing my instructor to ask me any questions. So there is kind of a script in the book, but that part you don't have to go over the script. Just be natural, just call out what you see. I had the unique experience of coming up on an accident scene, so I had to maneuver through that and call out all the hazards that I saw. Police officer in the street, cones, traffic being backed up, impatient drivers, because there was a driver that decided, even though the police officer said stop, he decided to cut around and then he got pulled over. So, you got to do the commentary, just again, so your instructors aren't saying too much to you. So try your best to call out everything. But outside of that, the reason why I'm here in this laundry room, and I will show you, I am sitting in a hotel, the sleep-in laundry room, which is pretty cool because not a lot of hotels have a nice laundry room. This is small, 3 dryers and 1 washer, but it's small, but it gets the job done. So the reason why I'm here is because I am on my new mentor's truck. I had to fire my last mentor because he was not the type of mentor that wants to train you. So kind of getting off the topic of why I'm here, I fired my mentor again because he wasn't the training type. He didn't want to teach so much. And from what I understand, Swift stopped using owner-operator mentors. I think my first mentor was an owner-operator, or he was an owner-operator, or he is an owner-operator, excuse me, but he was kind of grandfathered into the program or something. I'm not going to say this about all owner-operators, but I will say this about him. He just wanted to run. He was in a hurry. And if I wasn't moving fast enough, and you got to remember, I'm a student. Still, I'm not moving fast enough. I'm not backing in fast enough to his liking. Then he wanted to get out and do everything. He wanted to touch the Qualcomm and do everything. And that's the kind of person that you don't want. That's the kind of mentor you don't want. You want a mentor that's going to teach you and have the patience to show you things and have the patience to answer questions when you have them. So my second mentor I'm on the truck with now, dude, from day one, we hit it off. And we talked about training and what my concerns were. And he addressed all of them and is currently addressing any concerns that I have. He's addressed. He's given me feedback, which my last mentor wasn't too particular in giving feedback. He's showing me different backing maneuvers. So again, as I said in another video, the backing maneuvers that you learn in school probably aren't going to be the ones that you're going to use out here in the market. I would say you're definitely going to use the straight line back. Hands down, you're going to use that. But the offset, it's in some of the maneuvers that I'm learning, but it's not the main maneuver that I'm using. Parallel park, I'm not sure. I haven't seen anybody parallel park yet. Some of my friends that are truck drivers is like you'll never use parallel parking. I can't answer that one, but I would say yes, straight line and offset to a point. But parallel, probably not so much. But he's teaching me the Qualcomm. We go in, he hands me the bill of lading, like, hey, I'm gonna show you how to go in and check in with people, and he lets me hook up and drop the trailer. Like, I'm doing everything. He's just there watching me and making sure, one, I'm being safe. Number one, I'm being safe. Number two, that I'm doing things in a logical order. And three, that I'm just doing it right, okay? And he's giving me little tips and tricks here and there along the way based off of his experience. And it's great. Now, getting back to the reason why I'm here at this hotel is because our truck broke down, or his truck broke down. So, which in a way it sucks, but it's a good learning experience. It sucks on the negative side because I'm a student. I want to get my hours and my training done, but it's good on the training on a realistic side of the house, because I'm seeing firsthand what needs to happen when your vehicle breaks down and the protocol that Swift uses. So from my understanding, the truck broke down, or it didn't really break down. It was just the check engine light came on. We got concerned about that because our next haul was going to be it's going to be a long ways. 1,100, about 1,200 mile hike to Kansas. So of course you don't want to ride that long with a check engine light on any vehicle. So he called what's called breakdown. He told him what was going on. He told him, what we checked, as far as our side of the house. Like, we checked the oil, everything was good. Power steering floor, everything was good. Coolant level, we made sure that there was nothing leaking. We basically did a pre-trip before we called breakdown. They checked out our location. They looked for a deal or a truck repair shop close to us. Luckily, it was only 5 miles away, so we went to the truck. We went to the truck repair shop, and we dropped the trailer there, and they pulled the tractor in, or we left the tractor there. And what happened was he called his driver leader, and his driver leader was like, "Well, how long do you guys think you're going to be there?" Well, that was a Friday. No, that was a Thursday. So they weren't going to be able to work on the truck that Thursday. So they were thinking they were going to be able to get it in Friday. But we got out Friday, we called them. They hadn't even pulled the truck in yet, and it was like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So we knew we were going to be here for the weekend because they don't work on the weekends. So the truck is still sitting there, and we're sitting in the hotel, which is cool because Swift is covering the bill. So Swift will say to you, "Hey, I need you to get the bill plus taxes for one night at the hotel that you're going to, and we'll put it on your comm data card, and they'll charge it from your comm data card." So that's what they did, and then each day we had to go back and say, "Hey, we're going to be here Saturday and Sunday." So they had to, of course, they already had the price, so they put that money back on his comm data card, and now we're here until Monday. The only thing is that there is a thing called an advance that you can do to cover food and stuff. Otherwise, food is on your own. That is why it's a good idea to carry food with you in your truck. Carry food with you, so that way, if you ever do get stuck, you have to, sit in a hotel. You're not buying a whole lot of expensive food all the time. You have something on you that'll kind of get you through, at least for the first couple days. So yeah, we're sitting here. Hopefully the truck will be fixed tomorrow. I'm not really seeing that because they hadn't even pulled the truck in on Friday. And who knows, it could be parts that they have to order, whatever. So we could very well be here for, another couple days. And if that is the case, I am going to ask I'm going to call my driver leader to see, "Hey, I love this mentor. I want to keep him. The dude is great. But I think if we're just sitting, I would much rather be at home. If I'm not on duty, I'm not doing anything, I'm just stuck here. Is there a way to get me home? I don't have to go pick up my truck at the facility, but can you at least get me home?" And then we could go from there. So I might check that option out if we're here tomorrow, and we'll see. We'll see what he says. Worst he's going to say is no, right? But yeah, so I'm getting some very realistic training, being broke down, and I'm getting some laundry done at the same time. So that is it for me today. Again, I apologize. I know this video is long, but I wanted to cover a few things. But once you get out on your mentor truck, it is all realism then. So 2 things that I'm going to tell you to do once you graduate the academy and you start looking for your mentor truck. Start packing. Pack light hygiene items. I think I talked about this in another video. Hygiene items, clothes, food, something warm, because you never know. You might be in a warm climate one day and then all of a sudden you're in a cold climate. So be prepared for any type of climate, and you should be good to go. For me, I brought just a sleeping bag. I didn't bring any sheets or anything like that. I brought a sleeping bag and one of those airplane U-shaped pillows, and that's what I'm using. And I'm getting a great night's sleep in the sleeper. The cool thing is my mentor, he went and actually got a new mattress for me when we got to the Jonestown terminal, and that was very cool of him to do that. And we both put it in the truck, and I'm good to go. So I think that is enough. I think I've taken up plenty of your time. It's rolling on to 20 some odd minutes. So my next few videos, I promise they will be a lot shorter. As I go through my mentor truck time. Right now I am in Dunmore, Pennsylvania, and I'm just sitting here for the next couple of days. So we'll see how it goes. And as I get back on my mentor's truck, I will give you some tips and tricks. But getting back to the two things that I want to talk to you about, and they're very simple, very quick. Go on your Apple Store or your Google Play Store and download the Love's Pilot apps. Now the Pilot app, it'll give you a card immediately. The Love's, you'll have to go to Love's, get a free rewards card, and then come back to the Love's app and register it. What these cards are for is when you go and fill up, or in some cases you buy items from those stores, it's a savings card that is also used to pay for showers. So you fill up, let's say you fill up on 50 gallons of fuel, you earn a free shower. So start downloading those apps and just have them handy. So when you do go to a truck stop, if and when you stop at a truck stop, you'll understand this. Make sure that your mentor is showing you how to use your Calm Data card as well, as mine's is. And it's very simple. And you'll be good to go. Chances are your Calm Data card will not be linked to their truck. It won't be linked until you actually get on a truck, whether you do team or you do solo. For me personally, I think the first year I'm going to do team, simply because I want to get that extra experience. I want to get that extra experience. 200 hours is great, but I think for me personally, I would need that extra experience, because that person that I'm riding team with, chances are, is probably going to have some experience underneath their belt, hopefully. And then we're riding together, helping each other out along the way. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But again, I'm going to close out this video. This is the Cool Be More Trucker coming at you, and I will talk to you all soon.